Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Hallway Wrestling Podcast. I am the man that United forgot, Rian, as always, and joining me today is one of the rising stars. He's an established star, but he's finally getting the recognition he deserves in Ring of Honor. He is going into Final Battle with the view of becoming the new Ring of Honor television champion off the back of pushing Jay Lethal to the limit. It's Leon St. Giovanni, LSG. How are you, sir?
Hello, sir. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. You're obviously in the bubble, in the Ring of Honor bubble for Final Battle at the moment.
Yeah.
How's that going at the moment? How are you going insane yet, or are you waiting to get out?
No. So far, so good. We won't be here as long this time. This is my second time here at the bubble. This one will be maybe a day shorter. And I'm a little bit more prepared. I know what to expect. I brought my PlayStation this time. Last time I was really bored. I didn't bring any books. I didn't bring video games. I didn't. The Wi-Fi is not great here, so I was pretty bored last time. But I'm fully prepared this time.
Yeah, like it's kind of that desert island question. Like it's not a desert island because it's a hotel, but what kind of video games or TV shows do you bring with you on the road to kind of keep you busy?
Well, I've actually got the PlayStation 4 with me. I didn't get the PlayStation 5 yet. Soon. Uh, I have the Avengers game, which I bought when it first launched. Got through it, and I'm kind of just getting back into it, and a lot of updates to the game, so I'm just playing that again. And actually, I brought Yakuza with me, so that's a fun one.
Oh,
And then
nice.
I stole a Switch from my little nephew.
does
I
he
stole his Switch.
does he know yet?
He had, I don't know. He hasn't called me yet. He's only 8 years old.
Oh.
If he says something, what's he gonna do? Come find me? All right, I'll fight him.
um, yeah, I obviously I got in touch with you through the Ringsiders podcast. You did a great podcast with those lads. I'm good friends with them, and you just seem like one of the hardest workers in the business. Just the passion that you like speak about pro wrestling and like how hard you work. Is that something that you were kind of born with, or were you like as coming up through the wrestling business? Were you like kind of learning to adapt and kind of learning what it takes to get to the top?
Well, if you saw the piece about my match with Lethal, you got to see my background in sports. So I grew up playing baseball. I actually played soccer too, with football for you. But um, over, I guess the work ethic was always a big part of my life, and just being dedicated to something. If it was baseball or soccer or now wrestling, there was always something to work towards in my life, and I think that's something my parents instilled in me, and I think I just carried that over to pro wrestling. And I look at it like a business, and I want to handle my business the right way. And the only way to do it is to put the work in.
Yeah, 100%. Like I watched that promo before the Lethal match, and the passion that comes, like you can feel like you want this. It's not just you're reading off a script. That there was no, I can guarantee there was no script there. That was just you speaking from the heart. It's like,
Most
yeah. And speaking of that pure rules match, you were talking about how difficult. I think on one podcast you were talking about how difficult it is to adapt to the pure rules. What's the most difficult rule to kind of remember? Because I know about the you can only use one closed fist. Do you ever like go for another one and go,
Yeah,
whoa, this is a pure rules match? I better stop.
it's because I think, besides the whole stuff I did with Coast to Coast, I've really been working a lot on my own. I think I've developed a more aggressive style. It's kind of a mix with like a technical, but I'm also a great striker, and like I rely on my hands a lot. You know, I do a lot with hands and my feet. So there's that instinct to just want to throw a punch, and you have to remember that we have to bring it down to the foundation of what the wrestling is, and there's no closed fist. So you kind of have to second guess yourself. And I was like, well, I can't punch him in the face, so maybe I could just throw him out of the ring. I'd probably get more damage done actually.
Yeah, and I said to you off air, I thought you won that match. To be honest, if I was talking on points, I'm not an expert, but I thought you won that match. Are you definitely going to be when you get that television title at Final Battle? Are you going to be challenging Lethal first and trying to get a bit of revenge for it?
Absolutely, I can't wait for that rematch.
Oh yeah, because it was.
Because I thought I won it, but if there's any doubt in the minds of the judges, I would need to eliminate it completely. I want it to be unanimous to the point where across the board, everyone knows that I was the better man.
Exactly. Yeah. Throwing it back a bit, you trained in the Monster Factory, if I'm not mistaken. You were training there, and I was doing a bit of a YouTube, like a YouTube dig of your kind of pre-Ring of Honor stuff, and I found him. I found a great match because my first interview on this podcast was with a man called Dan Barry, and I found a match in interspecies wrestling between you and Dan and Team Tremendous. I wanted to bring it from Pure Rules to the mustache and the Dan Barry match, because Ireland is a huge fan of Dan Barry. He got so over in OTT, and you've probably seen it. So I just want your thoughts on that and working with Dan, because that was my favorite part of the research. I love that match.
Yeah, Dan's an awesome guy. I've actually known him for basically my whole career. I met him in the early years of Beyond Wrestling. Actually, before Monster Factory, I started in Beyond, back when it was just like studio tapings, no crowd. And I met him way back then, and I got to work with him in Interspecies. He's a good guy, and I know that match is funny. Him and Bill Carr. And I was doing that whole the hunter gimmick with every match. I'd have a different animal with me. I'd have a different savage animal creature with me, and yeah, it was a good time. I'm assuming you saw them chop me up.
Oh yeah,
and interrogate me.
And the hip toss party. The hip toss party was just. I bet you your hips and your chest were just sore after that one.
But it was a good time, especially back then, because when you're a shy kid just starting out in the business, you don't know your voice, you don't know how to act in the ring. Sometimes you're not comfortable, and doing a fun character or fun gimmick like that kind of brings a different side of your personality out. So I think that definitely helped me. And then I went to the Monster Factory and I would experiment with a lot of different things. I was a babyface at first, and I was doing a masked character, and then I was doing more of what I'm doing now. I was doing more heel persona. So it's cool. Places like Monster Factory, Interspecies Wrestling, they've always been receptive of just throwing ideas out there and trying new things. So it definitely helped in my development as a wrestler.
Yeah, looking on the outside, I do feel that versatility is important. You guys probably strive for versatility. If you do one thing really well, it's good, but it's good to have things on the back burner just in case, because things can change like that. So it's amazing. And then in that promo with Jay Lethal, I saw that you were talking about Ring of Honor and how you went to your first show at 15 and you just got completely consumed by Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has the best has the best YouTube. They give out free matches that shouldn't be given out for free on YouTube. It's kind of crazy. Right. What are some of your favorite matches? Because I have a few matches that I think shouldn't be on that YouTube that are just insane.
Yeah. Well, I think right off the bat, you mentioned that I was at Final Battle 2005. The first thing I ever saw, because I didn't know what Ring of Honor was beforehand. I walked in completely blind. I just knew it was pro wrestling. I had never been to pro wrestling. I'd never seen it live before. I saw Jimmy Rave and Milano Collection AT with his invisible dog.
Oh God, okay.
And I just see Jimmy was getting the most heat I had ever seen a wrestler get before, and he's getting pelted with toilet paper, and him and Prince Nana are just getting so much heat, and it blew my mind, and that would stay with me forever, because it was such a different experience in watching WWE, or even because I was a big TNA fan. That's so much different than watching that on TV. You go live and you see that in person. So that first match there was a huge one. I think there was a really great tag team match I saw. It was the Briscoes versus Samoa Joe and Homicide. That was another one. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I think it's Mark Briscoe does a shooting star press off the entranceway.
I've seen it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just those Briscoe boys are crazy.
And probably Danielson versus Morishima from Manhattan Mayhem. That was just unreal. I was there live, and it was just basically 2005 to 2009, I was at every Ring of Honor show that was in New Jersey, New York, or Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
Yeah, some of my favorite matches, obviously you probably wouldn't have been at this one, but Unified in Liverpool is an obvious one. Brian and Nigel is scary to watch, but it's up there in one of my favorite matches ever. And were you at Joe and Kabashi? Would you have been at Joe and Kabashi?
That was a little bit before I started going.
Oh, okay.
I just missed it.
Oh man, that those two matches are just when someone comes to me and says they haven't watched much wrestling, I just throw that. And they're like, oh, this is a bit strange. I just throw Joe and Kabashi on and go, do you want to get in the middle of the ring with those two? It's like,
Yeah, the energy there, and even think about it. 15 years later, they put it on YouTube. I think last week they put it on as a throwback match, and it's still people hyped up. A 15-year-old match getting that kind of excitement out of people because it's just that good.
yeah,
I hope one day I can leave a lasting impression and people can watch some of my matches and be excited like that.
I'm sure you will. And speaking of some of your matches, you had a tag team with your good friend. You correct me on the name. Is it Annie? Is this
Ali.
Ali? Yeah, and you guys beat War Machine and the Motor City Machine Guns on a big tag run. How was that to go on that tag run? That must have been insane. And you fought the Young Bucks.
It was nuts, and that match with War Machine, well, I'll never forget it. It was kind of like I thought it was kind of like passing the torch. It was their last match for Ring of Honor before they went to NXT. It was a high-profile match for us because it was at the arena in Philadelphia, which is a place that I had gone to so many times growing up, and I had wrestled there a couple times for Ring of Honor. But this was definitely the biggest match by far that I had in the company. And it's funny because we actually wrestled War Machine much earlier when we first started as a team. And we didn't know what we were doing at the time. I was still new to tag wrestling. Shaheem and I were just kind of thrown together, and we wrestled them, and we got killed in like 3 minutes. And then you fast forward a couple of years to the progression we made, and that match that we had with them at the end of 2017. It was just awesome, and it just kicked off a very successful 2018.
Yeah, we'll get on to that successful 2018 in a moment. But not many people beat War Machine clean in a straight up tag match on that run. They were on a brilliant run. What was it like to go from being a single star to the tag team and then transitioning back into the single star? Did you feel like it was kind of more natural just going back into the single star and you've learned a lot from the tag stuff, or which one was more difficult for you?
Yeah, I think the tag was definitely more difficult. There are more moving pieces in a match. There's a lot more strategy to think about. And like I said, it was pretty new to me. So a lot of the work was done, on the job training. But the positive of that is Ring of Honor has some of the greatest tag teams in the world, especially back in, from 2017 to 2019. The tag division was just unreal. And any given match, I knew I was going to learn so much. Win or lose, I was going to come out of it a better wrestler. And whether we wrestled War Machine, the Best Friends, Machine Guns, Young Bucks, which we did a few times, or any of the other Bullet Club guys back then, we knew we were going to come out of it better. Singles is much easier for me. It's more instinctual. It's just more natural. But the tag stuff was so much fun at the time, and I'll never regret it.
Yeah, and speaking of, you've got a tag team partner in life as well. You've got Gabby Ortiz, a great interview on the Ringsiders podcast as well. If you guys, put your fantasy booking head on. If you guys were to ever become an intergender tag team, what are some of those? There's no limits. There's no limits. You just got to have an intergender matches. What are the kind of partnerships you'd like to face in an intergender tag match?
Ooh, Mike is back here at Ring of Honor, Mike Bennett. So you never know. Maybe the original couple, Mike and Bria. That would be fun. Let's see.
Jimmy Jacobs and his partner from back in the day.
That'd
be
that would be fun.
That'd be
fun. Let me see. What else is there?
Was there any?
There's a lot of intergender tag teams now. Even a good friend of mine, the Savage Gentleman. I don't know if you're familiar with him, and Lady Frost. That would be a fun match.
I've heard of Lady Frost. Now you're 2018. One of the things that we both love is WXW. I went to my first 16 carat this year, and I was just in awe. Like I was just like, this is crazy. Like the 3 days and the tournament and everything. And you guys had I thought when you said you went to WXW, I thought it might have been like three or four matches. You guys had a good solid run in WXW with tagging against the Crown and Alani and whatever, and who was his partner again? Alani and it's escaping me now. We're in the moment, but there was a lot of tag matches that year. And how was that run for you, going over to Germany, and learning in the school with everybody?
It's for me, it was a huge moment for my career because I mean, a lot of people don't know. I was born in Germany, so I always knew I wanted. But the thing is, I left there when I was a baby, so I never got to experience it. I don't remember any of it. I just have seen it in pictures. So it was a big goal of mine, just in life, to go to back to Germany to maybe see where I was born and just see the country. Um, but then when I started wrestling, I kind of set a goal of mine. I was like, I want to wrestle for WXW one day, because in the 2000s, WXW was blowing up. It was huge, especially when they kind of were working with CCW a lot. So the American audience was very familiar. And basically, anybody who's anybody has passed through WXW at some point. Um, so I knew I needed to get there, and that trip was just unreal. We were there for 2 months. We were wrestling almost every day in the WXW Academy, and then on the weekends we were traveling all over the country. And we got, like you said, we got to wrestle guys like the Crown, the Arrows of Hungary, JFK, um, the Pretty Bastards. Like, there's just so many good teams out there, and we got to experience World Tag League. We weren't part of the tournament, but we were part of the weekend, and that was just mind blowing.
Oh man, like that night too.
Crazy.
That night too. You always like that night too. You know something special is gonna happen. Like I went in the night too, being like, okay, this. I know we've got the big main event, but Speedball and Bandito on night two was the moment where I realized, holy, like that's like they have the match, and then everyone just throws all their money into the ring and just goes, here, have the money. Like we already paid for a ticket, but you guys can have it. And then the atmosphere and the after party, it's just a carnival atmosphere. It's like Oberhausen lights up for a weekend when that happens. And what's it like when you're like walking through the town and it's literally 100% wrestling fans? There's no, like it clears out for one weekend and it's crazy.
Yeah, the buzz is just so cool, just being around the building. And it was also nice to have some familiar faces. We were there with Jonathan Gresham was there, Jeff Cobb was there at the same time. Um, a guy, Freddie, he was actually one of my roommates. He's here at Ring of Honor now, performing at Final Battle. So it's cool to just have guys that came from the United States that were there with us, that we were familiar with, and just all experiencing it together and just taking it in. And that's probably the greatest weekend of wrestling of my life. Like, it was just so special, and just I really do think about WXW in Germany almost every single day. I just can't wait to go back.
I think
hope next time I can go back for an extended time. I would love to just go for like 6 months, even longer maybe.
Yeah, tying in the Pure Rules and WXW, you and the Ambition tournament would be really, really cool, because that Ambition tournament is really special. Like, how would that be to get in there and see if you can go toe to toe with some of the and prove yourself as a pure wrestler again?
I would love it. And there's a guy that I really want to wrestle. Well, there were two. One I can't right now because he's in NXT. Timothy Thatcher. He was one of my trainers out there at the academy. But a guy I would love to wrestle is Alexander James, 1-on-1. We had a tag match, but I would love a singles match with him because he's so incredibly good and underrated. People don't realize how talented he is, and he's an awesome teacher, coach, and just wrestler, all around wrestler. And I would love to get a match with him, especially if it was an Ambition.
Oh, he's fantastic. And Tim Thatcher, I mean, we saw from the weekend, that man bleeding out of his ear, and just him and Ciampa going toe to toe. Like, I love that stuff. And when he was gone from WXW and everyone applauded him on the stage and he left out the side door, that's Tim Thatcher in a nutshell. Like, he's no nonsense and fantastic. But you obviously talk about ROH, where you kind of you talk about the 2019 not being what you wanted it to be. How, and with the tag team stuff, and then it came, and then you've shot up since the start of the year, and you've like got onto a lot of people's radar. How was it in the low, and then how has it been building it back up to the point where you're gunning for that television title? And I really do hope you win it on that Final Battle.
Yeah. So when Shaheem and I broke up our tag team back in, it was actually a year ago. It was December. It was the weekend of Final Battle where kind of things fell apart. I was very unsure about the future. I didn't know what we would both be doing, if we would be back in Ring of Honor. I didn't know what my status was going to be. I did compete for a couple events at the beginning of the year for Ring of Honor. I did think 2 or 3 events, before everything shut down. And then, at that point, I'm thinking, well, the last time I was seen on Ring of Honor television, I was getting put through a table by Bully Ray, and I'm like, well, maybe that's it. Maybe my Ring of Honor run is done, and maybe it's time to move on. But I took a lot of the time during the pandemic and the quarantine to kind of reflect and think about what my goals would be. And I just said was going to get stronger, better shape, try to create more buzz for myself, and pitch a singles run with Ring of Honor. And I think it's paying off. I had a really successful taping the last time, and I think that match with Jay Lethal really opened a lot of eyes, and people were like, "Whoa, like LSG, he's really good. Like he knows what he's doing out there." And that's been the goal all along, is to show people here at Ring of Honor what I've been doing the whole time outside of this place. I've been I'm approaching 10 years now in wrestling, and I've been busting my ass as a singles wrestler and doing all these things and traveling all over the country and the world. And I feel like I never really got to show what I can do 100% here at Ring of Honor. And I think now people are getting to see the real full LSG.
Yeah, like hard work pays off, and I like from the outside in, you doesn't seem to be many people working harder. You were talking about the pandemic there. I was actually going to ask you this at the start, but it went over my head. There's I've noticed from the outside, correct me if I'm wrong, the wrestling industry, there was two different types of people when the pandemic hit. There were people who had the momentum with them and were like, oh, this is kind of a stumbling block. I want to keep going. And then there was the people who were like, let's use this time to build myself back up, heal a few injuries, and kind of get back on people's radar and use the time wisely. Am I right in saying you were in the latter, or were you kind of in the kind of mold of let's take this time off and use it properly to kind of go get ready to go from when wrestling comes back?
Yeah, I think I definitely wanted to rest up. I did have lingering injuries that were building up, because I had not taken any time off at all. It was taking time off for me was a very foreign idea. So it was almost like a sign. The world was saying, you know what, like calm down, rest, regroup, and then you're going to come back even better. So health is incredibly important, especially like for me, physical health leads to better mental health. So when I'm hurting physically, my brain shuts down.
Yeah.
So getting a chance to just heal these little nagging, small nagging injuries just helped me mentally. And I was able to just work out all summer and just train. And I was very fortunate because where I live in New Jersey, we have, I guess, less restrictions, and the promoters are actually very, very, I would say, very responsible about the way they run events. So I've been wrestling since almost, I think, July. July and August is when I started wrestling again. So I feel like I have even a head start on a lot of the guys that have barely wrestled this year. I've been
Yeah.
pretty active for the last, 4 months.
Yeah, you can really see like when you're looking at standouts on the show that you're really got a point to prove, and it's really, really cool. Two more things before we sign off, because you're very busy and you're gunning for that, getting ready for that big night. You're leading the Survivor Series team. Let's say there's a Survivor Series going ahead of Final Battle in 2021, and you can pick anybody in the world. You're four people to lead into battle against another team. Who are the four guys you're picking from your extensive list of Ring of Honor or just wrestling fandom?
Okay, let's see. All right, I'm gonna pick a team of Ring of Honor guys, either past and present. So it's gonna be, I have to get the Chocolate Man, Shaheem Ali, my former tag partner.
Let's do it.
He's one. I'm gonna get Damian Priest, who's my former coach and also a former Ring of Honor star. He's the man.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get Jeff Cobb.
Yeah.
Jeff Cobb is great. That's me as four. And the fifth man, let's see, who can we get that would be very interesting? I'm gonna pick Delirious, because he's the guy who brought me into Ring of Honor, and I learned so much from him. And he's still an incredible athlete in great shape, and he could kick some ass, and he's insane. I love him.
Yeah, like okay, Damian Priest. We're gonna do an end of year award show soon, and Damian Priest is up there for most improved. That man has had some serious singles matches in NXT this year, so that's a good one. And Jeff Cobb, the gifts that we see from the tag league, Jesus Christ, that man can lift anyone. Just how strong is Jeff Cobb from knowing him in person? Because he looks incredibly like powerful, but just put it into perspective, like how powerful that man is.
He is. I've seen him just throw around just huge men. I actually have never gotten to wrestle him, unfortunately. Hopefully, I will one day. But it's funny because he's such a gentle guy. I like to call him a gentle giant. He's not tall in stature, but just body wise, he's just a massive guy. But he's just so gentle. But at any moment's notice, he can snap and just toss you. He just can lift you and toss you. Like, it's just incredible the stuff that he can do in the ring.
And he's such
I love watching him wrestle.
He's such a nice guy.
He can do moves.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy as well. He made a video message. He can do a moonsault. Yeah, he sent a message to my friend at like Cara, because she's a huge Jeff Cobb fan, and he's just so kind. But when he gets in that ring, you don't want to be going there. As we said, Ring of Honor television title. You got a fatal 4-way number one contenders match, and then the winner fights the television champion the same night. Speaking of working hard, how hard have you had to work for 2 matches in one night, and what are the prospects for you of 2 matches in one night and getting that title around your waist?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it before. I've done tournaments, many tournaments before. I've done 60-minute Ironman matches. So I feel like work-wise and cardio-wise, I can handle it. But it's not easy. It's not like a first round match it's not a singles match. You're in there with 3 other guys that are trying to kill you. So, and this is not pure rules. So anything goes. This is, it's 4-way, basically no DQ if you really look at it. And these guys are just no slouches. This is Dak Draper, Tony Deppen, and Josh Woods. These are great athletes and guys that are just really killing it right now. So it's not easy at all, not an easy task. And but I'm looking to I'm going to get through that, and I want to face Dragon Lee. That's one of my bucket list matches.
Oh, that would be insane. Dragon Lee is just an amazing. You and Dragon Lee would create magic, and I hope you get through unscathed so you can get a full fair crack at him, and then challenge Jay Lethal, I'm assuming, straight afterwards, and get that rematch. That would be pretty cool.
I want to wrestle Jonathan Gresham too. TV champ versus pure champion. Let's do it.
Yeah, like, so speaking of that, before we sign off, what are your goals for 2021? Whether that be as the Ring of Honor television champion or in general, what do you see in the future of LSG?
I want to get some new matchups. Obviously I got to wrestle a lot of different wrestlers here over the years, but there's still so many I have not wrestled in singles matches. If you look back on my record, I've only wrestled maybe 5 singles matches ever in Ring of Honor, and I've been here for 5 years, which is nuts. So I've got plenty of guys I want to wrestle, and the goal is to win Ring of Honor championship. I don't care if it's pure championship, TV championship, or the world championship. I want and I need championship gold around my waist in 2021.
Yeah, LSG you're a fantastic wrestler, and there needs to be gold around that waist by the end of 2021. Before we sign off, do you want to tell us where we can find you, your merch, thank you for your time, because obviously you're in the bubble and you're very, very busy at the moment. But do you want to tell us where we can find your merch and your socials?
Yeah, so socials across the board, they're all at Rian Giovanni. I guess you'll link it. It's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the same across the board. I've got the Pro Wrestling Tees store, LSG Tees. Just look them up, LSG Tees. I've got some cool stuff on there. And then I've got my new Ring of Honor Ace of Space t-shirt on the ROH Pro Shop. Check that out. I'm sure we're going to have some cool holiday sales coming up soon. So definitely get one.
Yeah, because
cool shirt.
Could you imagine if you come down the stairs on Christmas Day and some guy's got a PS5 and some guy's got an LSG shirt? I know which one I want. I want the LSG shirt. They won't sell out in 90 seconds like the PS5s do, but they're very, very good and they're well worth having. So listen, LSG. As for us, you can find us on Hallway Graphs Pod on Twitter. We have merch as well for no reason whatsoever other than just to take the piss out of ourselves. tpublic.com/Hallway Wrestling Podcast. I say it every week. I don't know why there's a baby outfit with my face on it, but that exists. That exists. You can find us on Project Dits. We're on the network. There's like 5 amazing podcasts there. Support the Ringsiders. They're the guys that have done some amazing interviews lately with LSG and Gabby Ortiz and everyone else. But LSG, thanks for joining me. And as we say at the end of every episode of the podcast, LSG for television champion. Let's do it.